So let's finish now is Gimel. We're up to is Gimel, and I guess we'll end the Maimer. Summary of the Maimer so far. So the Maimer is explaining, the Tzemach is explaining this somewhat lengthy passage of the Zohar, which is to explain why the leaders of the community, the leaders of the generation, are called Cריאי Moed. And it comes out, the Zohar's explanation that Moed, of course, means a set time, Shabbos and Yom Tov. So what happens on Shabbos and Yom Tov is, Cריאי, there's a calling forth of the level of Kodesh, as in Mikroi Kodesh. The Yom Tovim are called holy. So there's a level of Kodesh which affects on three levels. This is the summary of the Zohar. On three levels, Zoh receives from Chachma. There's more detail to that. It seems from the Zohar, it talks about Yichud, where Rabbi explains the Maimon of Tzemach, the Yichud of Ma and Ban. So Ban is Malchus and Ma is Zoh. When we speak of Malchus, this is all happening in Atzilus, as it were. Malchus de Areke, Malchus de Rekia. What happens in Rekia is reflected down here. So the first level of Rekia is in Atzilus. So there's an effusion on Shabbos and Yom Tov between a Gilui of Kodesh, and that's called for, that's the Cריאי Moed on these Yom Tovim. So there's the Gilui of Malch of Chachma in Zoh, which affects a unity in Atzilus altogether, which embraces Malchus as well. That's what comes out. In brackets, he added detail between Shabbos and Yom Tov. That Shabbos is the Etzem HaChachma, and Yom Tov, which is, he goes on to say later, is associated with Simcha. Shabbos is Tainug, but Yom Tov is Simcha. So Yom Tov is Bina, Ema Bonim Smecha. Doesn't bring that, but I'm just sharing this. As we've learned many times that the Simcha is when the thing is grasped and developed. When you discover something, it's not joy, it's a euphoric experience higher than joy, it's a Tainug. When you discover a solution to a problem. But then when you break it down and understand its details, so that's already in Shal Simcha. All to say that on Yom Tov is a Gilui of Kodesh in general / Chachma, but Chachma is invested in Bina. This is in brackets. So that's one level. That's one level of Cריאי Moed. Then there's the next level as Malchus, which is also called Kodesh. Malchus Datzilis is Kodesh relative to Biyah. And he brought in brackets, this is reflected to in Melech Shloimeh, because Shloimeh is the wisest, so there's the Chachma there, but he's Melech, he's Malchus. And of course, we know the connection between Malchus and Chachma, both have Bittul. In fact, the Bittul of Malchus is deeper, because Chachma is proud of its Bittul. And Malchus is less Lam Megamor Klum, true Bittul, true Makabel. At any rate, all to say that Malchus is also called Kodesh, Malchus Datzilus. And on Shabbos and Yom Tov, there is the Gilui of Malchus Datzilus to the higher Neshamas and Malachim, and from there to the lower levels of Ishtalshelus. In the words of the Zohar, that Malchus summons its legions, and who are the legions of Malchus Datzilus, the Neshamas and Malachim of Biyah, crowns them, elevates them. That's the unity that's happening. That's the Hamshocha that's happening from Malchus Datzilus in Biyah on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Second level. Third level are the leaders down here, the leaders of the people. They're called Cריאי Moed. because they too, it stops here, doesn't elaborate, but the Maimer seems does, we'll see, I think. They too cause a unity and amshach of kedusha, of kodesh, of chachma, here in this world, to Klal Yisrael, to Bnei Yisrael. So that's why they are called Cריאי, because at these set times of Shabbos and Yom Tov, they summon forth. Cריאי means to call forth. It seems that's how he's teaching it here. What Tosfos Oyer, Chachma, as he goes on to say, Keser in the beer in the next paragraph, which we'll soon share, where here in this world. The Zohar notes that Cריאי Moed, which is its question, is spelled without a yud. It's missing a yud in the pasuk. It should be spelled Kufresh Yud Aleph Yud, and spelled Kufresh Aleph Yud, missing the first yud. The Maimon says because they were missing bittul Kairach. This is referring to Kairach, these men of distinction. They all assembled against Moshe Rabbeinu. They're missing bittul, and the Maimon will elaborate what their problem was. What I just told you now was basically the Taich and the Zohar with the Rebbe's beer based on the Tzemach Tzedek. That's all in. I was all woven into that. Yesterday we explained as follows. So the Ois Beis started asked it, not started. Ois Beis asked a question that is as follows. Excuse me. We went to the oil last night after the wedding. It was just amazing. Just amazing the late hours of Chulu. The place was like by day. And the I want to tell you, you'll go, but all Klal Yisrael is there. Now, it was just interesting to observe something, that there was a Chassidish family, not Lubavitch, and some Freie, I don't know who these like young people were, ponytails, I don't know what exactly the story, obviously not. And I could see, I was just overhearing that the Chassid, it's relevant to our Maimon on the unity. The Chassidish guys like asking, like getting to they speak English well, they're Americans, asking these guys, like, what brings you here? I'm just over here. Is it the guy with the ponytail, whatever he was saying? Well, where else? But to come here, this draws us all of us. It draws, he says, and this draws all of us, all Jews of every level, every background. I see the guy was very taken by it, and he shook their hands, and it was a beautiful moment. It was a Chassan Kala last night. It was late at night. Amazing. Just to go there, not even to go into the oil itself, which actually did not go, but the Chama went, is enough. It's one of the meanings because of the Achtos that happened at Sinai, Neshamas Yisrael. The question, the Maimon Ois Beis, is, so we're saying, the Zohar is saying that Shabbos and Yom Tov, Moed is Amshocha of Moichin. Chachma, in Zohar, that happens naturally. How does Ishtalshalis work? Ishtalshalis is just that. Ishtalshalis is the natural progression of Chachma, Seichel into the Eibishter's Midas, and so on. So things descend, evolve through these 10 spheres that the Eibishter has chosen to manifest. This is what's happening all the time. And especially through Avodah it happens. So what Shabbos and Yom Tov add? So he answers that Shabbos and Yom Tov, this is the Nekudah, that Shabbos and Yom Tov is not only Stam Chachma, but Chachma is suffused with Keser, which is the true Kodesh. Chachma is called Kodesh, as we explained yesterday. Kodesh means removed. That's what the word Kodesh means, set apart. Chachma is set apart. All about the spheres because it's bittul, hence it's the Keli for Ein Sof, as he says in Tanya Perek Lamed in the Hagah. But the true transcendent is Keser. So it's Keser in Chachma. As we explain what this means in simple language, that on Shabbos and Yom Tov, Hashem reveals his desire for creation, his desire for us, the Nis'ave. That's what's revealed on Shabbos and Yom Tov, the Keser. And this, as the Maamar goes on to say, happens through our Avodah. So through our Avodah of Shabbos and Yom Tov, of elevating the sparks, because he brings a moshel that the king, under normal circumstances, is not seen by the people. Rak Shmoy Alehem, his name. You're living in the king's state, and his name, the state bears his name, and all of the functions of the state are expressions of the king's edicts and wills and so on. But he remains removed. It's only his name. But there are times when the king reveals himself in all his glory. That's in times of victory. Times of celebration, invites all of his ministers and the whole country, the whole populace celebrates. That's every Shabbos and Yom Tov. Every Shabbos and Yom Tov is a me'ain. It doesn't say these words, but it comes out, the me'ain of Yemei Mashiach, where the victory has been achieved. It's a foretaste of Geula. The sparks have all been elevated, which was the subject of the previous Maamar. All the Berurim were done on Shabbos. So since all the Berurim are done, the work is done, now Hashem reveals his pleasure in our Avodah. That's the Keser. It's the day of Tainuk. And hence we too, down here, on Shabbos, the Jew has to view his life and all of his work as if it's all done. It's a perfect world. And hence a time, during the week he's building his home, he's sustaining his home, he's providing for his home. On Shabbos he enjoys his home, he enjoys his soulmate, his wife, children, community, Eibishter. It's a time to share each other with each other. That's the Keser, that's the Tainuk, that Eibishter shares himself with us on Shabbos and Yom Tov. So it's a Tosfos Oir. What's the Tosfos Oir that's Nimshach? On Shabbos and Yom Tov, Kriayi Moed, that is, as Keser suffuses Chachma, and then suffusing Hishtalshalos. So all of Hishtalshalos is suffused with, I like this because it's here I can share myself with you. This is what I want. That's where I'm beginning. Okay, it was somewhat clear. Yeah. Folks. Yeah, good.
Yes.
Where's Gimel? V'hinei So this is the Kriayi Moed. The Amshocha that happens Shabbat Moed, Shabbos and Yom Tov. As we explained now, Shenimshach Tosfos Oir Bezo Ubemalchus. So there's an additional Oir that's drawn down Al Yedei HaKeser, the Eibishter's Rotzen, Tainug. So Nasing in Shal Simcha. So this causes Simcha. Hashem is revealing his delight and joy in us, and of course we reciprocate. But together with the Simcha, Nasing Gamin Shal Bittul. This engenders also Bittul. Or should, being close and experiencing the king's desire. So the king is not expressing himself through the very structured protocol that governs life in general. In time of Simcha, the king is bisgalus. So that engenders Simcha and should engender, therefore, an incredible bittul, but doesn't have to. The bittul is still an avodah, an awareness that the yid has to have, but it can get lost in the simcha too, and we'll see that can be dangerous. So this is the inyan of iskalulos, of avo, of chachma bina. This kind of fusion of simcha and bittul is already there in the unity of Chachma and Bina which is revealed on Shabbos and Yom Tov in a very energized and powerful way, suffused with the Rotz and the Elyon. But that's already, in their unity, is already this bittul and simcha. Why? As we say, Ema Banim Smecha. Bina engenders simcha. Bina is already, I understand. Bina is the analysis, and you get it, you understand it, that engenders simcha. Chachma, of course, is bittul, where it's objective truth, and the person is nullified to its experience. But here's the unity of Chachma and Bina, and that's what has to be. That's the true simcha of Shabbos and Yom Tov. Mikroy Kodesh. Now the importance of this fusion. So the Yidden went out of Mitzrayim, even though the direct route was to go through Eretz Plishtim. But Hashem didn't lead them through that route, lest they encounter war and they will regret leaving Mitzrayim and want to go back to Mitzrayim. So he took them the long route. Explains Chassidus, what's the Indian here? Shegam be'Kedusha yesh b'chinas Plishtim. There's Plishtim of Kedusha. What's Plishtim of Kedusha? Meloshem movim amafulish. An alleyway that's open from both ends, not closed. In Hilchos Eidim and Hilchos Shabbos, how to enclose it, etc. So the word mafulish means open. So the word Plishtim means open-ended. What's that? What's simcha? Simcha breaks boundaries. Open, uncontained, revealed, and broad. So the Eibishter didn't take the Yidden out of Mitzrayim through Eretz Plishtim, because that's not the beginning of Avodah. That's Avodah can't start that way. Avodah has to start with Kabbalah's oil. Avodah has to begin with Bittul. It can only, and that kind of ispashtos can only be introduced later when it's on the firm, terra firma of the earth of Bittul. Because Shmitzadinyan HaSimcha Bilvad, that's the whole Avodah. Yiddishkeit is all about love and joy, and not based on discipline and Kabbalah's oil. So we see this can lead to having a good time in Yiddishkeit and a good time in other things too. And it's not a stir, it's all about having a good time. It's all about simcha. So it starts off at simcha simcha kedusha. If it's not tempered with an awareness of, because of the closeness, which therefore brings a bittul to the simcha, then it can lead to the wrong place. As he goes on to say, not can, does. Like we see, I mean, certain doesn't mention your names. He's in the Elam Ba'emes, and he accomplished much good in the world, but it was all tiny and simcha, etc., not contained, therefore. It could end up in the wrong place. So therefore there has to be bit of a Kabbalah Sirashay Desert, simcha Kediboy, and this will ensure the simcha should be as it should be. So for Zel Gam, now back to Inyan of Shabbos and Yom Tov, the Giloy of Avor in Zoh, and then Malchus can get into Bia, and then the Rosh Ha'ida bringing this to Klal Yisrael, to Bnei Yisrael. So it has to start with the Yichud of Avor, Abba v'Ima, Chachma Bina. I'm sorry, Hainu, I'm sorry. This is the skalos, the fusion of Chachma Bina, Shabbos and Yom Tov. Hainu lo yirakin simcha, not just simcha, which is Bina shemitzad meichen di Ima. Ela gama bittul shemitzad meichen da Abba. It also has to be the bittul of Chachma meichen da Abba. Even though they appear to be opposites, contrasting, how can they possibly be experienced simultaneously? This is the kesed that's revealed, that the rotzen to the two opposites become one. Go to this lofty revelation that happens in Shabbos and Yom Tov, which itself happens to the avoid of the year during the week of the Beruri Nitzutz Kedusha. That's what God's rejoicing in. That's what they call me Kriayi Kodesh, given in addition to Simcha, there's the bittul Sheshorsha Chachma that comes from Chachma, not just Bina, which is called Kodesh. Kodesh Mila Begadmei is a reference to Chachma. I made it a word here, friends. And this is underscored in literally the sustainers, the shepherds of the generation. Right? That's what the Zohar is talking about. This whole discussion about Korach, who corrupted its leadership. We'll see in a moment. But that's what ought to be this Indian of what? Of the fusion of Simcha and Bittul. I told you, let's just finish the paragraph. By them too is Simcha Bittul, Criayi. They are also called those who summon forth. And the word Moed is an allusion to Mikroi Kodesh, Moed on Yom Tov, Tamshach of Kodesh, Moishe b'Moed. Just like on Yom Tov, Yeshna Ina Simcha Bittul, Moed. So too, Kiriye, they, the summoners of the people, that's one of the meanings of that they summon forth level of Kodesh, Kach Yesh, Chinazur b'Memun in the Amma, so too this level exists in Memun, the ones that pointed over the people, they too have this meaning of Bittul. So I've told you many times, the letter that I was shown, Rabbi Golden to Reb Zalman Serebransky in Australia, 1953, he writes to him, Zalman, you have no idea, he says, the Tainug, that's what he uses. The one has to look at the Rebbe, just to look, and then he breaks into Yiddish, Royim, in Hebrew, then he breaks into Yiddish, Atzubrochen freilichen ish eliki, a broken, joyous man of God. That's what we see, that's what he's talking about here, all at once. At once, if you didn't see, you can't understand that this could be. But so it is. It's a brochen and freilichen. Broken because of suffering of Yidden in Golos. Let's continue. So this is how it should be by the Memun in the Amma, the appointed leaders over the people. About das Kodesh. By das Kodesh, it says, Yud, missing a Yud, Heinel officially Rotzel. Kodesh means division. Bispali Kodesh divided, says the Targum. Officially Rotzel, on the word Vayikach, he divided. Ishli Rotzel, Sheti Iskalus, Asimcha, Shmitzad HaMoichin, the Imam HaBitl, Shmitzad HaMoichin, now leave me alone, it's a time of joyous Bitl. It's time to celebrate. He didn't want to have the scholarless of Chachman bin or the Simcha and Bitl. As they are above the two friends that are inseparable in the words of the Zohar. Didn't want that. Recognizing that Imma, that Bina is rooted deeper than Chachma, deeper in the Meitzl. So that's it. We just need the Simcha of Bina, the Lo Yina Bitl. And that was his whole machlekes mitzat heder habitl, and it's all heder habitl, and manifested itself in all of the levels. As we are all aware, the whole machlekes of Kodesh is extremely nuanced, and what exactly did he want? It seems to contradict. It's a lo pashut, because it's on many levels. It's not one simple charge, and there were a great number of people in his Kodesh Vadosai. They all did not have exactly the same intention. So there's many levels of agenda and chesodin in the whole machlekes, and this is one of the aspects of it, this lack of bittul and the desire of his pashtus and simcha, which he argues is expression of the merchav ha'atzmi, etc. All virtuous in yonim. And no need for the bittul because it's expression of alikus, but if there's no need for bittul, you're in trouble. Let's continue. Beautiful words coming. The Rebbe adds that the effect that the Rabbeim, the sustainers of the generation, the Neshamas Kololius on the Siya Yisrael, the all-encompassing Neshamas of the leaders of the Jewish people, they too affect the Inyan that Yom Tov and Shabbos and Yom Tov affect. They embody and bring not just Shabbos and Yom Tov, but they embody B'chalal, this Inyan that happens in Shabbos and Yom Tov, which he explained, the whole Chiddush, that's a Gili of Keser, of higher than Ishtalshalus. Never explains it here in these way, in the following manner. It's very beautiful. It says in Tanya, that the Medrash says, the Medrash says, Bereshis bara Elikim, and then later, it's first only Hashem Elikim appears, and then it's Havai Elikim. It says the Medrash first, the Eibush thought to create Midas Hadin in brackets. What's that? So there should be only an Amshach Mitzateh Sheidish Talshus. That's where it ends. Rosh Miskayim, you saw the world cannot endure. Shita by Midas Harachim, so he partnered with it, Midas Harachim. Says the Alter Rebbe. These are the words of the Alter Rebbe. Where's the Midas Harachim revealed in the world? Shein is Galus Elikus. This is a revelation of godliness like the tzaddikim, to the tzaddikim. For Isis or Moisim Shebetayra, and the signs and wonders that recorded in Torah, the miracles that happened to a Yid. Now, the two separate things, tzaddikim and Isis and Moisim, the tzaddik, his presence reveals Elikus, that is Midas Harachim. But here he says, it's not two things. The tzaddikim also reveal Elikus through Isis and Moisim Shebetayra. That's the miracles. Meaning, so that's why he adds Kurlis, includes also Gamba, in addition to tzaddikim and miracles, also Kurl, Gamba, Isis and Moisim Shebetayra tzaddikim. These are the miracles that are done through the tzaddikim, that they are mamshech into the world, hide in ishtalshalis, and that's how the whole fusion can happen of Chachma and Bin, etc. You'd be Tmuz like you'd be Tmuz. That he was revealed in the world that Gilu hide in ishtalshalos. Once the Rebbe said in talking about Yud Beis Tammuz, one of the great miracles was, aside from the obvious, the Frierdiker Rebbe, the number one enemy of state, that it's sentenced to be executed Rahman Litzlan, and then 10 years Siberia, and 3 years house arrest in Kostroma, and then, as we know, Yud Beis Tammuz, freedom itself was a great miracle. But the Rebbe said, if I think the Ike, he said, was that all the people that were involved in his petitioning in Russia, no harm befell them. Not just him, but the people that went into the lines then, and so on, to lobby, to petition the things that were done. We're not aware even of the involvement of the Rebbe himself and the Rebbetzin and Yud Beis Tammuz. We do know that the Rebbe gathered all incriminating letters and so on, and disposed of them, and he climbed out the window, the back, and alerted all the Chassidim, there's going to be mass arrest tonight. Everybody should hide. He's running the streets at midnight, alone. From one chassid to the other. The Rebbe never spoke about his role, obviously. But it's not just the Rebbe, but others that were involved in the whole story. Nothing befell them either. It's one thing that they let the Frierdiker Rebbe go, but everybody else, revenge time. No. It's also one of the big miracles. So let's continue. Shaboy, so you'd be Shaboy Nimshach Gilish Lamani Mishtalshas Adibala Gula through the whose Gula we celebrate today. This we're soon to celebrate. This is the Fabengin of Tmuz. Kedushas Moed v'cham Yadmu Nosi Hadoir Mitzad Gili Zet Tzarich is Hein Inyi Shal Simcha and Bittul, and because of this Gili by us, it has to be by us Simcha and Bittul Canal. In order that we should have both in Yonim as one, this means two opposites at once. This is affected through the Kriya Moed, the appointed ones of the people, Mashenkin, whereas not the Nisim on our own cannot achieve this. This needs through these kashas to the Nasi, but the rest of the Maimer, and they write, that's all they have in the Rishima, in the note that someone took in writing up the Maimer that was, and it's missing the Siyum, which is, of course, a great pity, but that's what we have. All right, friends.